Θα κάνω τεστ, ακούγεται. Τεστ, 1-2, 1-2, τεστ. Πάμε. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's session. My name is Theodore Styliadis, and today I'll present you the first session regarding to ship accidents, damage assessment, and accident consequences. So, today's agenda includes an introduction, then we'll discuss ship accidents, their causes and the types of accidents, and we'll pass to a new chapter discussing ship accidents damage assessment with regard to collision models, grounding models, and fire and explosion models, while we'll also analyze the shipping accident consequences, and we'll end our presentation by presenting some meaningful conclusions. So to begin with, shipping is the fundamental as well dominant means of transport for the world trade, as the Earth is almost covered by sea. Nearly 90,000 vessels of various size and more than 250 different types specialized on cargo or passenger trade or both serve for humanity. Yet, shipping is the bulk delivery mechanism of international trade, and it plays a massive part in humanity's collective well-being, as billions of tons of raw materials and finished goods are carried on board ships between ports and port terminals economically, cleanly, and without mishap every day. However, ships operate in a high-risk environment. In the age of precision, navigation, and satellite era, very many casualties still occur at sea. Even the available advanced and sophisticated navigation instruments and the enhanced communication technologies have been unable to halt shipping accidents. But how can we term shipping accident? A shipping accident could be defined as a usually sudden event or change occurring without intent or volition through carelessness, unawareness, ignorance, or combination of causes and producing an unfortunate result. Any shipping accident, whatever in nature, it is an unfortunate event. Should it occur in a confined area, like a channel or a strait where the traffic is heavy, several as well as serious risks are likely to be faced. On the other hand, a major shipping accident becomes even more critical by way of, say, water ingress, thus possibly worsening the ship's damaged stability if exacerbated by heavy weather or strong current. In some other accidents, however, the issue becomes more environmental due to oil spillage. With regard to, now we pass to ship accidents, their causes and the types of accidents. Marine accidents have been occurring ever since men started to sail. The custom of trade has been systematized over time, and later, by the middle of the 19th century, the navigational standards emerged primarily as regulations for preventing collision at sea. Since the beginning of the last century, marine accidents have resulted in maritime industry efforts to improve ship construction, ship systems reliability, and on-board operations organization aiming at a reduction of maritime accidents. However, as we see in the following picture, where the global distributions of accidents are presented, we see that around the Earth still many ship accidents and ship casualties occur. Especially, as we see, with the red node, there are places and areas with more than 100 accidents. With the orange node, we have areas with from 10 to 19 accidents. And finally, with the green nodes, we have areas with 1 to 9 accidents. In this map, we can focus mainly on Europe, where most of the ship accidents occur, especially in the Western Europe, where we have 2,482 incidents, and in the North Sea, where 824 incidents have occurred respectively. This area presents many particularities and many specialities due to weather conditions, storms, and very harsh weather conditions that lead to unfortunate events like ship accidents. Another area is the Southeast Asian area, where again many ship accidents occur. They're not depicted in this picture, but this area has heavy traffic from the developing countries, especially China, Indonesia, and India, where also many, due to traffic mainly, many shipping accidents and casualties occur. Now, moving on to marine casualties and incidents. A marine casualty can be defined as any event directly connected with the operations of a ship that has resulted in any of the following scenarios: a death of, loss, or serious injury to a person, the loss or abandonment of a ship, material damage to a ship or to marine infrastructure, the stranding or disabling of a ship or the involvement of a ship in a collision, or finally, severe or potential for severe damage to the environment brought about by the damage of the ship. Accordingly, a marine incident can be defined as any event or sequence of events other than maritime casualty which has occurred directly in connection with the operations of a ship that endangered, or if not corrected, would endanger the safety of the ship, its occupants, or any other person or the environment. Finally, it should be noted that neither a marine casualty nor incident include a deliberate act or omission with the intention to cause harm to the safety of a ship, an individual, or the environment. As we see in the figure, not only the marine casualties and incidents have declined, but on the contrary, as we see, as the years pass, instead of minimizing casualties, the latter increase in number. More specifically, for 2011, we had 1,199 casualties and incidents in Europe. In 2012, the number increased to 2,067 incidents, while for 2013, we had the most accidents and incidents for the decade, as they reached around 2,550 incidents. Classification of casualties can be classified according to their severity. More particularly, they can be classified among the very serious casualties, which are marine casualties involving total loss of the ship or a death or severe damage to the environment, serious casualties, which are marine casualties to ships which do not qualify as very serious casualties, and which involve, for example, a fire, collision, grounding, heavy weather damage, suspected hull defect, and several others, which result in the ship being unfit to proceed or pollution. And finally, we have the less serious casualties, which are marine casualties that don't qualify as very serious or serious casualties. Particularly in Europe, only 3.6% of all accidents reported were classified as very serious, while 18.1% were serious and 78.3% respectively were less serious and marine incidents. Also in the figure, we can see the occurrences according to their severity for the 3-year period of 2011, 12 and 13. Again, we can see an escalation of maritime casualties as the years pass. In 2011, we had 70 very serious incidents. In 2012, 58 serious incidents, while in 2013, after 2012's minimization of occurrences, we had an increase in 2013, reaching again 81 very serious incidents. With regard to the serious casualties, in 2011 we had 251 incidents, serious incidents, in 12 respectively 335, while also for 2013 we had an increase that reached the 468 serious casualties. Finally, the less serious and marine incidents, which consist of the larger part of the casualties reported for 2011 were 878. For 2012 increased, there was a sufficient increase which reached 1,674 incidents, while for 2013 we had again a considerable increase, reaching 2001 less serious casualties and marine casualties. Accidents by ship type in Europe. As we can see in the graph, 41% of all accidents are with regard to general cargo ships. Cargo ships category includes general and refrigerated cargo ships, bulk carriers, and vehicle carriers. A great majority of commercial ships fall into this category, and consequently, it is no surprise that this was also by far the biggest category for shipping accidents in and around EU. The second largest category, with an 11% of the maritime incidents, is the tankers category. The tankers category respectively includes tankers of all kinds, including oil, chemical and gas tankers. Tankers are a high interest category, given that the Erika and the Prestige oil tanker disasters took place off the EU coast and that they extensively polluted a large proportion of the western coastline. The third largest category of shipping accidents are the container ships, with 8% of occurrences. Container ship accidents can be particularly expensive in insurance terms. The reason for this is that ton-for-ton box ships often carry very high value cargoes, and they also increasing in size. Should an entire cargo be lost or significantly damaged, the cost can be huge, as even if a small number of high-value containers are lost overboard, the insurance cost can be more than the loss of the general cargo ship. Added to this, larger and larger ships are carrying more and more bunker fuel on board, so the pollution risk that they pose is increasing. The fourth largest category is the passenger ships, representing the 18% of maritime incidents. The passenger ship category includes ferries and cruise ships. There was no significant loss of life in passenger ship accidents during the last years after the Concordia accident, but there were several accidents where the consequences could have been a lot worse. This continues to be a cause for concern because there were a large number of passengers on the vessels, and any one of the accidents could have become a serious disaster. Finally, the last categories of accidents by ship type in Europe are the fishing vessels, which represent 11% of all accidents, and finally, 9% of all accidents are attributed to other types of vessels. But why do shipping accidents occur? Causes and cause relations of accidents are often complex, as many different factors have an impact on the cause of an accident. Due to this complex interplay, there are many different ways of categorizing shipping accident causes. The majority of shipping accidents can be attributed to the following causes. First of all, we can distinguish the human factor or the manning issues, or else called crew negligence. Crew negligence is often a driver behind 3 of the top 5 causes of loss. Human errors may include inter alia, a lack of adequate knowledge and experience, technical inability, bad lookout, not paying proper attention to procedures and rules, carelessness in commanding a ship, misinterpretation of radar information, fatigue and lack of alertness, overworking, tiredness, insufficient rest periods, and others. Crew fatigue and complacency can often be a major factor in incidents. The prudent ship owner or manager will ensure or should ensure that these are addressed by way of additional manning or rotating the ship staff more regularly if the ship is employed on a demanding trade route. There are, however, owners and managers who are unable to do this, which could in part be due to a shortage of available trained seafarers, but is more often attributed to commercial or operational considerations. Good equipment can cost more, but safety should be accorded a higher priority because a ship cannot be operated safely without the seafarer. A second cause of shipping accidents are the abnormal weather conditions. Several shipping accidents have occurred due to these factors, which are related to abnormal weather conditions. Could be natural phenomena such as current, tide and tidal stream, severe wind, reduced visibility, fog, heavy snow, even rain, storm seas, and darkness, affecting the ships or those controlling it. A third category of shipping accidents, of causes of shipping accidents, are technical failures. Technical failures are shortcomings within the ship, such as corrosion, steering failure, engine failure, or hull failure arising from defective materials or construction, or by the shore-based installation such as aids to navigation. A fourth category of shipping accident causes are route conditions. Route conditions may include navigational error, like over-reliance on inaccurate nautical charts, charts of suspect reliability, or based on old surveys, narrow channels with abrupt and angular windings, allowing for very limited maneuverability and exposed to dense marine traffic, such as the Turkish Straits, Anchorage contiguous to traffic separation lines, confined marine areas with insufficient sea room, as well as navigational hazards such as shoals, reefs, and wrecks, and maybe icebergs. A fifth category are the ship-related factors. Ship-related factors could be the weakness of a ship, associated with her larger size, hence less maneuvering capability and stability, or drought constraints. Finally, we can distinguish among the shipping accident causes, cargo-related factors. Cargo-related factors mostly include dangerous goods and heavy cargoes, where their hazardous characteristics of oils, chemicals, nuclear substances, for example, the place, compartment they were stowed on board ships, on deck or under deck, and the degree of diligence that such cargoes need, grain or timber or other, all of which are related to seaworthiness. Any accident may have more than one cause. Nevertheless, statistical analysis on the basis of the main causal trends explicitly reveal that human errors, though declining marginally, continue to be a major cause for all shipping accidents, being almost 80%. In other words, the acts or omissions of human beings play some part in virtually every accident, including failures like structural or equipment ones, which may be the immediate cause. Most of the accidents are attributed to human error, quite a lot to bad weather conditions, and some also to force majeure reasons. The density of vessel traffic, particularly in those narrow areas such as straits, channels, port approaches where there is likely insufficient room, close quarter situation frequently exists and more ships are concentrated, remains second to human errors as contributing factor of marine casualties. Finally, it should be stated that accidents may take place anywhere, anytime, and under any conditions, day or night, in clear weather or restricted visibility, in narrow straits, canals, inland waterways, coastal waters, or on the high seas, and even due to defective or off-station navigational marks. Moving to the types of casualty events. Casualty events are unwanted events in which there was some kind of energy release with impact on people and or ship, including its equipment and its cargo or environment. According to literature and experience, the major types of casualty events can be classified among the following categories. Capsizing or listing is a casualty where the ship no longer floats in the right side up mode due to negative initial stability, negative metacentric height, or transversal shift of center of gravity, or the impact of external forces. More particularly, capsizing happens when the ship is tipped over until disabled, while on the other hand, listing is when the ship has a permanent heel or angle of roll. In these two pictures, we have an example of capsizing, and this is the Costa Concordia ship accident, and on the second picture we have a picture of a ship which is listed and needs repairs to continue the voyage. Κάποιος πρέπει να έχει ανοιχτό μικρόφωνο. Moving on. Another type of casualty event is collision. Collision is a casualty caused by ship striking or being struck by another ship, regardless of whether the ships are underway, anchored, or moored. So, collision again. Collision is a casualty caused by ships striking or being struck by another ship, regardless of whether the ships are underway, anchored, or moored. This type of casualty event does not include ships striking underwater wrecks. The collision can be with other ship or with multiple ships or ship not underway. Again, we have two typical examples of collision accidents in these pictures. Collision accidents are a typical and one of the most severe and unwanted maritime casualties. Further on, we have the contact type of casualty. Contact is a casualty caused by ships striking or being struck by an external object. The objects can be floating object, cargo, ice, or other unknown object, fixed object, but not the sea bottom or a flying object. Another category of marine casualties events is the grounding, stranding, which occurs when a moving navigational ship, either under command, under power, or not under command, drifting, striking the sea bottom or shore or underwater wrecks. The following are the 5 major collision grounding hazards identified by industry experts. According to them, we have officer on duty, not watch, officer on duty, not watchkeeping, failure of critical navigational aids in fog or in darkness, severe loss of functionality, loss of rudder steering at full speed, failure of shaft bearings, lack of knowledge of navigational procedures, and finally, misinterpretation of bridge information. Moreover, we have a list of the next 5 hazards with lower risk, which include collision between 2 ships, cruise or other, where cruise ship is not at fault, wrong pilot intervention, lack of interpersonal communication of bridge, severe loss of functionality, loss of power, blackout, or other circumstances, and finally, contamination of fuel tanks. Further on, from the classification of maritime casualties continues, we can distinguish again the fire and explosion, which can occur. Fire explosion is an uncontrolled ignition of flammable chemicals and other materials on board of a ship. Fire is the uncontrolled process of combustion characterized by heat or smoke or flame or any combination of the above. While with respect to the explosion, the latter is an uncontrolled release of energy which causes a pressure discontinuity or blast wave. Flooding is a casualty event when the ship is taking water on board. The following are the 5 major fire explosion hazards identified by experts. The first one is arson, or deliberate act of resulting in fire. Could be anywhere, it could occur anywhere and anytime. A galley is the second major hazard, where deep fat fries, greasy cooking appliances catching fire due to overheating. Engine room, flammable fluids on hot surfaces. Laundry, lint from tumble dryers catching fire, while finally from cabins, fire starts in a cabin because of cigarettes, candles, electrical equipment failure, etc. While the list with the next 5 hazards, with a lower risk again, includes hot work procedures, including the engine room, mooring deck, mooring ropes catch fire, bunkering through a leakage whilst bunkering ignition through sparks, theater, front stage and backstage through hot lights and flammable materials, while finally in storage areas where self-ignition happens through chemical reaction. Further on, we have the foundering casualty event, where foundering is considered when the vessel has sunk. Foundering should only be regarded as the first casualty event if we do not know the details of flooding which caused the vessel to founder. In the chain of events, foundering can be the last casualty event in this case, and there is the need to add accidental events. Finally, flooding. Flooding refers to the casualty when a vessel takes water on board and can be progressive if the water flow is gradual, or massive if the water flow is extensive. Finally, we can distinguish some other types of casualty events, amongst which there are hull failure, which consists of a failure affecting the general structure strength of the ship, the loss of control, which is a total or temporary loss of the ability to operate or maneuver the ship, failure of electronic power, or to contain on board cargo or other substances. More particularly, loss of electrical power is the loss of the electrical supply to the ship or facility. Loss of propulsion power is the loss of propulsion because of machinery failure. Loss of directional control is the loss of the ability to steer the ship, while finally, loss of containment is an accidental spill or damage or loss of cargo or other substances carried on board of the ship. Moving on, we have a missing type of casualty, where such a casualty to a ship whose fate is undetermined, with no information having been received on the loss and whereabouts after a reasonable period of time. As we can understand, this type of incidents doesn't happen very oftenly anymore with improvements and innovations in technology and the communication systems that have arisen and are utilized in the shipping industry. Moving on, we have non-accident events. Non-accident events are intentional events as a result of illegal or hostile acts, and therefore they are not marine casualties or incidents. However, they can be categorized in the acts of war, where any act against the ship or the people on board by a state that would effectively terminate the normal international law of peacetime and activate the international law of war. Criminal acts, any crime, including a pact and an act, omission or possession under the laws of a state or local government, which poses a substantial threat to people on board of a ship or to property. Terrorism, sabotage, and piracy can be added to this category. Finally, illegal discharge, where an intentional discharge of polluting substances, oil or other noxious substances from ships occurs. Finally, you have the last type of casualty events category, classified as other casualties, where other intentional acts that incur in a loss of or damage to a ship or environmental damage or harm to people on board. Κάνουμε διάλειμμα ή όχι? So, we'll have a 15-minute break and we'll continue with the next chapter of our presentation. See you in a while. Καλά πάει.